the first story we have planned here, the USAID NED downfall. So
continues.
There's a lot to unpack. I know you want to get to the later part, which I know this is the fun part, is let's tell people exactly why this is a big fail and it's nothing's going to change. Yeah. But before we get to that, let's just start with the shock of the thing that is apparently making everybody in the Democratic side just completely afraid.
Can we exactly call them for what they are, though, since we talked to the Colonel about it? And I did say I look at them as the PR firm for the regime change industrial complex. Exactly. In other words, they're not only is it a money laundering scheme where they can find and once again, like, all right, if Doge is going to be, and people agree, Doge doesn't want, you want Doge to not look at this and audit this. Let's audit some real stuff. We'll talk about that at the end, what they could have audited, but they'll never audit because Donald Trump's fingerprints are all over it. But, it is a money laundering scheme where they can give all these people, all these bureaucrats so much money. But it is mainly the PR firm for the regime change industrial complex. They're there to make it look good. They're there to give you reasons why, Matt, regime change is okay.
Yes, and that's why the PR firm, as it's being dismantled, they're still doing their PR, and this is their spin. And I know our viewers know this is all BS, but let's just look at the irony of this story coming out, that they're saying that Trump's foreign aid freeze throws journalism around the world into chaos. I mean, this is crazy. This to us, the irony is twisted. It's sick. Let's try and laugh about it if it's not so pathetic, but it is funny. So this is what they're saying at RSF. They're saying Trump has frozen billions of dollars around the world of aid project, including over $268 million allocated by Congress to support. Get this, guys. Get this. Drum roll. Independent media and the free flow of information. Reporters Without Borders denounces this decision. Of course they do, which has plunged NGOs, media outlets, and journalists doing vital work into chaotic uncertainty. RSF calls on international public and private support to commit to the substantiability of independent media. Really? Where the F were you when they came after RT, when Biden pulled the plug on the critical hour and the whole list of our colleagues? But you guys know that. That's the irony that's part of this. Okay, so one more part. Since the new American president announced the freeze of U.S. foreign aid, it has been in turmoil. Oh, okay. The X account has been suspended. Well, good. I'm glad it has. The headquarters were closed. Great. The employees were told to stay home. Oh, boo-hoo. Elon Musk, who Trump chose to lead the Department of Government Efficiency, called USAID a criminal organization, which it is. This part they get right. This is the first part, Craig, they get right. We'll get to the next part that they're not telling us, but this part they get right. That's why they're shutting it down. Marco Rubio announced he named himself as the acting director. Again, we'll get to that part later. What is he hiding? But the fact that they're spinning this like journalism is in trouble is insane. This is a quote. Clayton Weimer says the American aid funding freeze is sowing chaos around the world, including in journalism. Programs have been frozen, provide vital support to projects that strengthen media, transparency, and democracy. Trump justified this order by charging without evidence that a so-called foreign aid industry is not aligned with U.S. interests. Well, we know it's not. Duh. The tragic irony is that this measure will create a vacuum that plays into the hands of propagandists and authoritarian states. Blah, 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 blah. So that's their take. And then look at this. Almost immediately after the freeze went into effect, journalistic organizations around the world that receive American aid funding started reaching out to RSF, expressing confusion, chaos, and uncertainty. So they're all in chaos right now. Oh, and look at this person. This is Samantha Powers, a horrible person who had made the rounds on all of the talk shows, and she put this out. This is, to me, Craig, this is the most I'm trying to laugh at it because it's so comically ironic that she wants us to feel sympathy for her. Watch what she put out earlier today.
You can imagine when you suddenly in your inbox find a termination notice or a leave of absence notice that you didn't expect to get on a flawed predicate that you're doing radical leftist insubordination. It's pretty jarring. And because there's so many lies and falsehoods circulating, and so many claims that people are sort of not with the program, I think people are just completely dislocated. There's no stable ground on which to walk. And then, of course, most of them have been laid off, so they're worried about how they're going to pay the bills and how they're going to make rent. But maybe the part that is the most striking and, for me, inspiring, if not surprising, having worked there for 4 years, is that, you know, the people who work at USAID did not come to work at USAID for the money. The civil servants, the foreign servants, the contractors, they came to USAID because they wanted to make a difference in the world, because they saw America's interests as tied up with the interests of people, vulnerable people around the world. And so even as they're struggling to figure out how to make rent, all of a sudden, they're most struggling with the fear that so many millions of people who relied on us as a country, on USAID as an agency, but on them as individuals, that those individuals out in the world have no place to turn. And indeed, they're showing up and finding health clinics shuttered and soup kitchens closed and advisors who were helping governments renegotiate debt with China, those advisors, now taken off the books. So just the wreckage in the world is what the USAID staff that I'm in touch with are carrying with them. That's what's keeping them up at night, as much as the question of what am I going to do tomorrow, and, how do I take care of my family?
And then, of course, our friend of the show, very well, Patrick Henningsen, calls her out directly and says this is Samantha Powers. She's the center of nearly every dirty regime change operation in proxy war for the last 15 plus years. She needs to stand in front of a congressional inquiry for American people to know the extent of her corrupt secret activities and money laundering ops via USAID. She ruined countless millions of lives worldwide throughout her covert ops, also adjacent to terrorist groups in Syria. And there's some shots of her with some of the most horrible people in the last recent years that we know, total pieces of crap. That's Samantha Powers, but that's what she's putting out there. But we know the truth about that. I'll pass it to you, Craig. You can make a comment on this. And again, we'll get to the next part as far as what's going to happen next. But this part is utterly ironic.
You have the stuff I sent you, right?
I have that. We're going to get to that. I wanted to intro with that to show this is the PR machine at work.
I think that we answered the first question. What exactly is the USAID? What is the NED? It's the PR firm for the regime change industrial complex. They are also a money laundering scheme where they can embezzle millions of dollars, if not trillions of dollars, billions and trillions of dollars to bureaucrats and other people. So we've established what that is, but I think we have to talk about what we're seeing right now. And I like Patrick Henningsen's comment right there, what he said too as well. I mean, I think that people do have to understand the part truths over there, that there are the USAID and the NED itself have to send up positive aspects to legitimize their negative side, right? Like, so they have to set up soup kitchens and donate money for books or whatever over here. It's done in the government they like and stuff, and that's part of the whole persuasion mechanism, right? So there's going to be some stuff that are going to be closed down where a lot of people are going to say, oh my God, I can't believe that there's no shelter over here or a soup kitchen in these, not underdeveloped nations. That's going to happen, but it doesn't take away the fact that there is a much bigger negative side to what USAID and NED do, right? Like they justify the wars. You saw her shaking, Netanyahu's hands. They justify the genocide and the ethnic cleansings in Gaza. You saw her shaking Zelensky's hands. They justify the bombings of innocent people. Part of the mechanism of getting money to the Azov battalion in one way or another. They were part of that whole mechanism. The same way the government, Donald Trump, who got them weaponry, who record-breaking contracts, and the Kiev regime's weapons that Barack Obama wouldn't even give them, right? A part of that whole mechanism as well. And when you look at USAID too as well, you see they've been thrown out of Bolivia since I think 2013. I'm not sure. I think it was back then, but still they worked in conjunction. In other words, Marco Rubio during the Trump administration worked the phones with the opposition in Bolivia to have a coup against Evo Morales. Marco Rubio, we have the phone call. We know he did it. He was a part of it, right? So Donald Trump was a part of that whole situation. And Elon Musk made his famous tweets, we'll coup who we want to coup. So they might not be guilty of USAID checks, Matt, but they're guilty of the same tactic. And that was removing the government of Evo Morales. That was a socialist government that they didn't like, right? And I think Fiorella said on the show when you did it the other day, they're just going to be more overt. They can cut out the fat. But what we're seeing when you see Samantha Power is the rule book, the playbook by the ruling class on the divide and conquer scheme, as well as more red herrings for you to not look at the actual problems that we have, which is the regime change complex itself. Is the actions going to change? Is the behavior of the United States going to change? Did Donald Trump announce that when we got rid of USAID, that he's also lifting the sanctions from all those countries that USAID, AID, and the NED recommended be sanctioned, those leaders? Is he going? No, he's not going to do that. No. And like I said, the tactic is still the same. We have to see that they're just trying to do the divide and conquer. It doesn't surprise me that Samantha Powers was out there doing that. It doesn't surprise me. I put the Democrats and the Hollywood stars. We have all those pictures. That doesn't surprise me whatsoever because they're doing what they're supposed to do. Red herring number one, don't look at the real problem, act like they're eliminating the problem when they're just cutting the cheese right off the top and not getting to the actual core of the issue, which is our imperialism, right? And number two, red herring was one. What was the other one? Get you to divide and conquer. Here come the Democrats out. Oh my God. It's just like, it's by the book. It's once again, the PR, it's USAID. Donald Trump is lacking compassion and he's cutting off aid to third world nations. He's going to freeze out grandma. That's what they're supposed to do out there. And they're trying to get out there to play team sports again, to fight against each other.
They want us to fight.
And that's what they're doing right and left.
Yes, they want us to fight. I understand that argument. This is going to make it even more of a fight between left and right, red and blue. But I can't help but just be a little optimistic that when we see this exposing of these celebrities, these sellouts like Ben Stiller and Sean Penn, and we see this mashup, I'm going to throw this up, but doesn't this tell you that maybe a couple people might look at this and go, those pieces of crap, I can't believe I fell for it. Just if you guys don't know, these are the millions that were exposed, that these celebrities were taken to go do PR in Ukraine. So this was exposed. Check it out.
He sponsored American celebrity visits to Ukraine after Russia's full-scale invasion began. Angelina Jolie, $20 million. Sean Penn, $5 million. Jean-Claude Van Damme, $1.5 million. Orlando Bloom, $8 million. Ben Stiller, $4 million. This was done to increase Zelensky's popularity among foreign audiences, particularly in the United States. The involvement of celebrities made it easier to coordinate funding programs for Ukraine during the conflict.
So when people see E! News putting this out, who generally probably would never have been watching us for the last 2.5, 3 years, when we've been saying from the beginning this is a proxy war, we knew what Ben Stiller looked like, a piece of crap, walking in there trying to kiss his ass. Actually, just so people know, if they've seen this, and if you saw this, if you're out there right now, and you saw this when it happened 2.5 years ago, and you bought it, does this put a new perspective after seeing that story drop? When you understand this guy walked in the door with taking the cash, and the whole thing was staged. It was all a big scam. It's all theater. This is just a little flashback of Ben Stiller's little multi-million-dollar theater piece with Zelensky.
Really nice to meet you.
Welcome.
Thanks for taking the time.
Great honor for me.
No.
We know you very well.
It's a great honor for me, and nice to see you. It's really wonderful. You're my hero. You're amazing. Yes. No. As you quit a great acting career for this.
Not so great as you.
No, but pretty great.
Thanks so much.
But what you've done and the way that you've rallied the country and what for the world, it's really inspiring. So
it's too much for me. Chief of office.
Yeah. Hello. Nice to
meet you. Nice to meet you. I understand that is in information.
So, okay, it goes on, but Ben Stiller has tried to deny this. He tweeted out, no, none of that's true. Don't listen to it. So he's trying to push back, but he's clearly upset by this. But this information's out there now. Do you think, Craig, is there any bit of, I get it, like they're pitting us against each other again. I understand that drill. That's part of the PR. But do you think anyone is going to see that and go, you know what? I'm starting to question this entire tribe I've been part of my whole life. I'm starting to see that why is the party that told me that it cared about the people, it cared about anti-war, it cared about worker rights, it cared about all these things, cared about free speech, that they want us to be championing putting these agencies back together and like allowing them to take our funded money and going into these weird little operations that are ploys to trick us. Do you think there's anybody that sees this now, or do you think it's double down on your tribe, double down on going after your neighbor? What do you think? Any hope here?
Well, no, I think you're trying to sell me snow, and I'm an Eskimo, right? Sorry, buddy. I'm just not buying it. If they really, this doesn't change much, Matt. It's not like this is the big thing. That 25% of the people are going to believe what they want to believe. The other 25% are going to believe the other side, right? You have your 25 seeking your confirmation bias, and mostly 50% of the people are checked out anyways, right? We're just screaming into the megaphone anyways. But I mean, I think a lot of people saw this for what it was when it did happen. I mean, anybody who's really smart what's going on. But the people who are kind of checked out, even the ones who are paying attention to, it's not going to move the needle that much. It's just business as usual. They see that. And once again, even if they did pay attention to it, the behavior is not going to change. I'm saying, oh, I saw this. Is the money going to stop? Are they going to ask the right questions? Are the people educated? Anybody who's educated on the situation would not really care too much about this. This is stuff they knew yesterday, right? A long time ago. So it's really not, I don't see a positive here. I just see it more or less. And the people who are really going to buy into it, the people going to dig their heels deeper that Republicans are better than Democrats, that the Democrats are the corrupt one. We caught you. Everybody's just looking for more we caught you moments. And that's all it is. It really doesn't move. Like I said, what we're seeing is just white noise, right? Are we going to really, the red herring that is, okay, you're going to now audit the NED. They threw out the low-hanging fruit for the people, for the savages to believe that there's some form of accountability with our government. Let me ask you a question. Are they going to audit the record-breaking Pentagon contracts that Trump gave when he was in office? Is Doge going to look into that?
No, of course not.
Record-breaking contracts, right? Because really, once again, it's the same behavior as the USAID and the NED. It's about empire. They both. Yeah. What about the CARES Act? The highest upward transfer of wealth ever. The CARES Act. Are we going to audit that too as well? Right? Talk about big farmers. You know they're not going to do that. Yeah. Right? They're just playing games. And you know what they say? You play bullshit games, you win bullshit prizes. Nothing has changed with this going on. Nothing whatsoever. The empire will still exist and just find other ways to launder money to their friends. And Republicans do it just as well as Democrats. Let's not forget that the NED was created in 1983, in the 2 years after Ronald Reagan got elected, when the CIA realized that they have to have some PR firm to sell what's going on. They'd already started littering crack on the streets, killing the black community. They knew there was going to be blowback. That's why the NED was formed. It was formed under Republicans. You think the money laundering that reached an all-time high when it was George W. Bush in office? Oh, I know they're rhinos, the only Republican in name only. No, this goes back and forth. They understood what was going on. This is the middle of the Iran-Contra. They understood that they were going to have serious blowback. So they created a PR firm, just the way USAID was a PR firm. It's just public relations. That's all it is, and that's all that's gone. To me, it's way more weaponized. I mean, yes, there will be a couple people, Matt, they'll be like, you know what? We don't know what people's breaking points are, right? That say F the Democrats. We had that moment. We're the homeless left because we ain't playing this shit no more. I mean, I think that's why we had a following, guys like me and Jimmy and you and Kim and, the people who were like, no, we're anti-establishment first, man. We all tried to be part of the whole, let's reform the Democratic Party. So you never know when it's somebody's time to say, packing my bags, I'm gone. Yes, it will happen with the NED and the USAID closing down. But at the end of the day, it will be more weaponized and used for weaponization than it will be used for good. And that's by far.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. But even if we get a handful of people, that makes us stronger. A handful of people from either side, from either camp.
Yeah, but like I said, it could be weaponized and used more. It would be used more negatively, because we're not talking about the core of the issue. The core of the issue isn't USAID and the NED. It's empire. That needs to be addressed. Otherwise, it doesn't make a difference. Sorry for cutting you off.
No worries. Do you want to go into this a little more? Because this is the background. You sent this link.
Well, no, it says it's inception. It's inception.
Yeah.
40 years ago, fewer than 60 countries were considered free. Look at the language. Fewer than 60 countries were considered free. The National Endowment for Democracy, right? Along with the 4 core institutes, the Center of International Private Enterprise, the International Republican Institute, the National Democratic Institute, and the Solidarity Center. I mean, they're talking about solidarity coming together, right? And it's always been used in nefarious ways. And just like this was created in 83, I think the Colonel said USAID was created in the 60s. They're just going to create other NGOs. Like I said, you could say that Marco Rubio and Elon Musk weren't guilty of getting checks from USAID or the NED, but they had the same goal in Bolivia during Donald Trump's administration. Different tactics.
Yeah. They're gonna pick and choose. We know this, and I'm glad you're hammering that home, because a lot of people they watch our shows and they want to hold on to this idea that Trump is taking on the deep state and he's exposing everything. You're right. He's cherry picking the things he wants to expose for political gain. But if we can attract more people from the other camp that are ready to throw their hands in the air because of the they're sick of the Chuck Schumer crap. They're sick of all of this crap. And they can come into our space, it'll make us louder, and we can go and shake the people up over here and say, hey, look, don't listen to these guys. Don't listen to Rubio saying I'm gonna be the acting director. What the F is that? I'm the acting director. You're gonna so we would have more people yelling from our space if we can just attract some from this side. That was my angle on this. I just said, is there something we can get from this?
I think, and I hear you're on to something there, but what I'm trying to say is this move is counterproductive to doing that. This makes people dig their heels in tighter because they've been duped again to think it's a Democrat versus Republican problem.
Okay, you might be right. Yeah. Overall,
that's what I'm saying.
People are digging their heels in, but you got to admit, this is funny. If anybody is a fan of Chuck Schumer and has been a fan of him, and they watch this and they go get him, you got something. You have a mental illness at this point. This is I wanted to play this one because we were talking about this the other day. Here it is.
We will win. 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 We won't rest. We won't rest. We won't rest. We won't rest.
I mean, him and Maxine Waters, and I mean, it's just it's hard to look at. It hurts. It's the Jim Carrey. Remember the Jim Carrey doing he does it better than anybody. When he does it, I get those kind of, oh my God, like that's what I'm getting from this right over here. I mean, it's disgusting, but it's what they're supposed to do. I think this is great to take the opportunity to tell people that these are the theatrics. These are the bullshit games they play. Now we have to make sure they receive bullshit prizes.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. I mean, I didn't hear what I know I put it in there, but I didn't hear what what's her name said, Rashida Tlaib, or was it Ilhan Omar? I mean, I don't even know. It's like, I don't even want to listen to them because I know they're just playing a part, and it's a bad novella. It's not even a good novella. It's a bad novella.
Did you hear the Jamie Raskin one? Do you want to hear that one?
I did hear like the one sentence he said. And I mean, this is a great time. I wish I was in DC. I wish I had access to the press conference room. What do you call it? The White House press corps.
Yeah,
I really wish they would have called me back and give me that, because I'd love to be in that room because I'd love to. And then I would wait for Democratic senators and congressional members when they're walking across the way, and I would find out about their stance on certain bills when it came to a war, or I mean, right now Cambodia, like you have all those Democrats, you have Russia, whatnot too as well. When I would say when USAID was funding Nazis, are you okay with that? Are you standing aside that? Like, I'd love to ask these questions to these people. I'd go after both sides. I mean, it's terrible. You know what I'm saying? It's terrible what these, I mean, the NED was formed out of the Reagan administration during Iran-Contra. They understood what was going on. They needed a PR firm. USAID took the same tactics. It's all money laundering. Donald Trump is not going after the deep state. He's just reorganizing it.
Yeah. No,
he's feng shuiing the living room of the deep state. That's all he's doing.
Yeah.
That's all he's doing, guys. It's the behavior is not changing whatsoever.
I got to show the Jamie Raskin just because if you were on the team of he cares about our social media and Twitter. Remember, he was all like, "Oh, the Twitter thing. These guys are trying to sabotage a very innocent platform where we just have being honest." And no, if you believe that, then okay, you can't possibly tell me that you're still on Team Raskin after watching him the other day. Trying to defend these awful agencies that are corrupt and taking all of our taxpayer money and doing all the things that you guys know. This is Jamie Raskin, just for a little laugh here.
Elon Musk, you didn't create USAID. The United States Congress did for the American people. And just like Elon Musk did not create USAID, he doesn't have the power to destroy it. And who's going to stop him? We are. We're going to stop him. Elon Musk, you may have illegally seized power over the financial payment systems of the United States Department of Treasury, but you don't control the money of the American people. The United States Congress does that.
Yeah. You don't control what happens. We do. We embezzle funds. We do nefarious happenings with the taxpayers' money. Like Craig, you mentioned the CARES Act. We're in charge of that, of money laundering. We're in charge of money laundering to Ukraine. How dare you want to pull the curtain back? And again, I know what you're saying, Craig. I'm with you. He's only going to pull the curtain back on selective items, not all of them. And if we could get in that press room, we could corner them on that. But I just hope there's a handful of people watching these weird Democratic leaders right now, just kind of scurrying and scrambling and trying to find these chants that don't work, and just say something is off about this. What are these guys actually defending? And if we could get some of those people into our space, that'll make us louder and us more effective when we go after the people, the MAGAs that think that Trump is saving the day and he's taking it to the deep state. That's all. I just want to figure out.
You keep on trying to sell this, pal.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think it's more of a deterrent. I really do. I mean, because USAID does have a lot of those lefties sold on it being aid. Look at the USAID page, USAID in Somalia page for Twitter. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure that's why, what's her name's going to stand out front, Ilhan Omar, and talk about USAID, what it does over there too as well. But it's also part of keeping instability within that government. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, I don't think it's going to, really make a difference. I don't think it's going to help us whatsoever. The only silver lining I see, it's an opportunity to further push more audits for things like the CARES Act, audits for the Pentagon, push both sides to be accountable on things. Okay, so what about your actions in Bolivia? I mean, we need people to take advantage. We need real reporters, real journalists to take advantage of these situations. You think USAID should stay? Why? Okay, good. Flip it. We need to flip it. We need to make sure that we put these people in compromising positions and ask the right questions now. That's the advantage we have right now. Right? For the Republicans who think there are Republican Twitter, it's not Twitter, what do you call it? TikTok videos I've seen where people are bragging about this happening, saying that the mechanism for regime change has now been cut in half. That is the most ridiculous thing. And if they're going to sell that, what happens, Matt? People go to sleep again on pushing back against regime change.
Yeah. Why do you got to be such a Debbie Downer, Craig?
Well, I know you agree with me on this.
I absolutely agree. I was just
going to present an opportunity for us.
I'm just trying to have some sort of hope that we made some sort of just expanding the movement of the critical thinker movement, the non-tribal thinkers. We're away from all of this propaganda. We're just trying to build that movement. That's all. I just hope we made maybe 1 inch closer to that. But you're probably right. It's business as usual. More divide and conquer keeps us separated. Oh well, we gave it a shot.